I'm probably not going to use the mic too much. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's never been a problem of mine. I've got an active imagination. I imagine a lot of things. Like, my mind is always kind of firing. A few weeks ago, I was kind of getting geared up for this talk. I've been working on another talk for a long time now and really putting a lot of effort into it, called Selling Jesus. And so when Father said, hey, we'd like to hear your testimonies, I thought, I better blow the dust off of that thing, right? So I'm kind of trying to rethink it, and my mind starts going out there where it goes, and I imagine Jesus fishing, like not with a net fishing like I fish, you know, catfishing. And so I imagine him hooking me. And I imagine poor Jesus up there, he's reeling me in, and I keep getting snagged on stuff. Yeah, and that kind of exemplifies my conversion over a few years, and I'm going to go into one of the most embarrassing snags that I have, because Father Totten knows about it, and sometimes I think these things can be a little bit cleansing. John, will you make sure the camera points at me? I appreciate it. So anyway, let's start the presentation. I'll get off with my most favorite piece of scripture that exists in all the Bible, and it's Matthew chapter 10, verse 30. Why do I like this so much? Because it says, every hair on your head's counted. I've got a daughter, and I have a wife. If every hair on your head is counted, he counts daily. Because if you have any girls in your house, if you're a girl yourself, you know that brush has hair in it. The sink has hair in it. You sweep up hair. Hair is part of being a girl, right? But I extrapolate from that little verse that God pays attention to us every single day. Every single day, God knows what's going on with me. And I also believe, because I'm intellectual like Doc, through the miracle of DNA and a little bit of logic, I can extrapolate the fact that I'm a one of a kind. Most people that know me would pretty much agree with that. You're a one of a kind. You're a one of a kind. There has never in the history of the world been another you. Not one. And as a matter of fact, there will never be another one. It's a fact. It's not arguable. So from this very simple point that I am a one of a kind, and that every hair on my head is counted, whether one day there's less and one day there's more, hey now, God created me purposely and for a reason. And we all know that the church teaches that we're all given charisms, talents. All right, so as we get going on this, I want you to know that's the standpoint of which I speak to you today, because I believe that if you came here to listen to me, there must be a reason. We're not done yet. If I used to know this guy, I'd ask him every day, I said, man, how come you're so happy? This old man at the Y, 1,000 years old, moves about this slow, but he'd come to the Y every day, work out, as slow as he did. So, man, you were always so happy. How come? Mr. Chapo, every day I wake up, I do this. And if I don't feel dirt, it's a good day. Well, listen, it all sounds funny, but I'm telling you, if you did that this morning and you didn't feel dirt, God expects something of you. And so, as fun as I am sometimes, I'm also going to challenge you a little bit. And don't hate me for that. I admit if you get a chance to read my book, you're going to know I'm not perfect. So I'm not challenging you out of the position of thinking I'm above somebody or perfect. I challenge you because that's what I do to myself every single day. So, I asked Moses how he's doing one day. He looked me right in the eye and he says, I always point to that like that thing isn't the computer. He looks at me and he says, I'm too blessed to be depressed. How are you? So I'm making you guys all evangelists right now. Moses told me one day, I looked at him, how you doing? Moses was a car salesman I worked with, just so you know. This is a true story. I didn't really know the Moses. I'm not.
You're not that old.
Yeah. So he says to me, I'm too blessed to be depressed. Moses said this. I was brand new to my faith, barely even into it, right? He said, no, I hadn't even come to a catechism yet. This was before I even believed Jesus existed. But it stuck with me. Moses, this car salesman, said this to me. I never forgot it. And now I teach it to people everywhere I go, right? So how often does somebody ask you, hey, how you doing today? I'm good. Hey, how's it going? Hi. We just say it insignificantly, right? You want to be an evangelist? You want to share the faith? This is how you do it. Every single day of your life, someone is going to ask you. I'm guessing 3 to 4 or 5 people ask you every day.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Too blessed to be depressed. How are you?
Too blessed to be depressed, buddy.
Every day. What's this statement tell you? It's 9 words. It says, I'm thankful, I believe in God, I'm a Christian, He loves me, I'm happy, and I care about you. Heck, it says more things than there are words in the saying. So if you want to be an evangelist, I challenged some men to do this last week. The guy went and did it all. One guy went and did it all week long. He stood up at my men's group this morning. He says, you know, everybody did the same thing. They thought about it a second. They were a little puzzled, and they looked up at me and they said, hey, I like that.
Yeah.
Even if they were Christian or not, they liked it. Why? People are hungry for this. So, I'm a Catholic retread. That's what my book's about. If you get moved to purchase a book, they're for sale back there. They're $10. It's my story, all right? But I'm a Catholic retread. Why am I a Catholic retread? Well, my parents were both Catholic. Everybody was Catholic when I was born. And then they were divorced. That's not me. That's my dad. Much better shape. That's my mom. They got divorced when I was 3 years old, so I was never catechized, like Father Totten said. Why you call that a retread? Well, I'm not a revert. I'm not a convert. I'm not a cradle Catholic. I asked an old man who was, you know, like John Beschen. What's he, like 1,000,000 years old? Super wise man, very in tune with his faith. Always spoke eloquently. I said, "What do you call me?" He said, "You're a retread." Okay. So anyway, I started visiting my father every other weekend. I don't go to Mass. I don't know anything about Jesus. I don't know about church. My parents don't talk to me about that stuff because my parents were divorced. We've all heard this song, right? So I was very fortunate. I had a stepfather. He cared for me. He loved me. He promised to raise me as his own. But I was not raised with any type of Christian background whatsoever. Moral relativism, as you would say. Good tradition. You know, I grew up a pretty good kid. My dad joins the Army, goes overseas, you know, after the divorce, you know, somewhere around, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, he kind of, right? So we have one of those relationships, long distance back in the 80s. You know how those work? You better write, because long distance costs a lot of money. You know, a 10-minute conversation to Germany costs you $15. I wasn't doing. Anyway, so that's a picture of my dad taking a picture of a guy on the Berlin Wall. I just kind of think it's neat. Not everybody has one of those, so I threw it in there. But long-distance relationships are tough. We had a countdown, me and my dad. 7 months until him being stationed over in Germany. He was hoping to be stationed back in Leavenworth, but anywhere in the States would be better because he could travel to see me or fly me to see him. This is a letter my dad wrote me September 11th, 1987. I include this because it's a pivotal point in the reason I'm fairly screwed up, or at least I was. Anyway. So, my birthday is September 13th. He wrote this 2 days before my birthday. And if you look into the letter, and it's in the book, it says, you know, I'm going to have more time now because you got a new kind of position. So I should be able to have a few more letters to write, and with any luck, get a few from you. Hey man, I'm 9 years old, it's summer, playing baseball, swimming at grandma's. I ain't got time to write, okay? Now I didn't get this letter until well after my birthday. As a matter of fact, I didn't get it until after September 20th. That's tough. So, anyway, my dad died, you know, shortly after that. And from that point on, like I said, I was a little bit off keel, right? At 12 years old, I was at 10 years old. At 12 years old, one of my good friends died. Tumor, he was a paper boy, he got hit in the head with putting his paper bag up. He dies. You know, I'm 12 years old. That's the first time me and one of my best friends got drunk, right? I don't know where we got the beer, but, you know, our friend, he died. We got together and you know, we hid out from our parents and we got smashed. First time I'd ever gotten drunk. About a year later was probably the 52nd time I'd ever been drunk. We started drinking every weekend, figured out how to get the booze. And fortunately for me, not necessarily all my friends, but fortunately for me, I was gifted with a little bit of intelligence. Now, I wasted most of it, but I was able to graduate college. You know, I went to. Most people didn't know how hard I had it, you know, internally because I was smart. I could get by. I didn't have to put a lot of effort into it. So I graduated college, and that's my high school sweetheart. She went through not college with me, but she helped me through college. Eventually, I got married. We came back from Columbia after being in college. We got married. This was the only Catholic church I ever knew. Now, when I was married in it, it was a museum. Because the Catholic Church had closed down, they kept it open. Twin Spires is what it was called when we got married there. But it was the only church I ever knew because my grandparents, a few times, made us go to midnight mass on Christmas. You know, you see those people on Christmas, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are never there. Yeah, and you go, they're just here because of this or that. Well, let me tell you something. It matters. It's a good thing that they're there.
Right.
Welcome them, because that had a big impact on me. Just knowing, hey, that's where you go to church, right? So then we had a kid. That's me as a Lettieri. You'll find I'm emotional. I get like all hyped up about everything, right? So I had a son. So I'm doing the thing, right? I'm graduated college. I got my girl. I'm married. I got a kid. I am on my way to being a success. Now, how do you judge a success with no faith? Anybody? Money, car, house, kids, pretty, nice clothes, all that stuff, right? I had all that. I was doing good. My goal was to be a general manager of a car dealership by the time I was 30 and make 6 figures. I'm there, right? Jesus came and jacked it all up for me. Totally screwed it up, right? So the word sure is fairly important here. Now, I was a moral relativist. I thought that religion was the worst thing possible. It's the cause of all division and everything. I remember standing out of a blonde thing with Father Todd, and we barely know each other, right? And we're having like a glass of wine or something. We're kind of looking at each other, and it's a little awkward. And I'm like, so about this Bible, that's a pretty political document, you know? Like, they argued a lot about what should be in it. And he was just like, oh, dear. I can't tell you how many times this man put up with my annoyance. All right? I would show up for a year. I would show up in his office. I got a question. A year and a half ago, I called him up. I had a question I still deemed to be the unanswerable question. And Mike, you think too much, you know. But that's how I always worked. I started reasoning through this stuff. But here's how it all started. I come home from work. I'm working 6 days a week, 60, 70 hours a week. I get home at 9 o'clock at night. Sunday's my only day off. My wife sits me down. She goes, I don't think we should send Quentin to St. Paul Lutheran for daycare or for preschool anymore. And I'm like, well, I never liked the place anyway. They teach them about God. You told me they weren't going to teach religion. She's like, well, it's clear across town. I don't think it's worth the money. You know, everybody said it was the best, but I don't think it's worth it. I said, well, great, let's get him out of there. You know, because they're teaching about God. I don't like that. She goes, I said, well, where do you want to send him? Well, Tina said St. James is pretty good. Now, keep in mind throughout my story, there's all these little moments. Tina said St. James was pretty good at a birthday party. And so my wife says, and I asked around, and other people say it was a good preschool. And I said, yeah, there's one problem. She's like, what's that? I said, they're going to want to teach them about God too. So what's wrong with that? We don't know what we think about God. You're going to let someone else teach him what they think about God. That doesn't make any sense. You want to go to church? I don't know. If I did, it'd be a Catholic church. Why? I want to get my info from the Pope and not some hired head. I don't know why I said that. It's, I guess, the one thing I knew, right? So you want to go to church? Sure. Last thing in the world I want to do. Like, I might have been appeasing my wife, right? Last thing in the world I want to do. So fast forward into that, like October, you know, it's almost a whole year of catechism. Father knew that given this and the way I am, he probably needed to set me up with someone specific and personal, just us. He didn't book me for RCIA, right? He sets me up with Miss Ann Olschmidt. She's 150,000 years old, the most wise woman I ever met in my life. And during my catechism even, she said, you know, you ought to help me teach CCD. I said, what? Aren't they going to know more than me? No, you'll be fine. I didn't know I signed that in blood. I'm still teaching CCD. Miss Ann is 90. I wheel her into St. James every single Sunday. And you know what? Here's the neat thing about her, right? And if for those of you, I noticed the backbone of the crew getting the dinner ready tonight. Right? I know this backbone because I'm a part of it at my church. It's the same people that are always getting things ready and doing some work, and you're like, oh gosh, there's like 600 of us. Why is there 8 when it comes time to do dishes? Right? Yeah. Miss Ann, every Sunday, she goes to get out of the car and her arm won't work. I get the wheelchair up as close as I can, and she reaches out for that car door, because once she grabs it, that's how she gets out. But her arm won't get there. So I put my hand out, and she grabs my hand, and I pull it. Gently. And once we get it on the door, then Miss Ann can get up. And it's a leap of faith, because if she misses that chair, we're hurting. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's a bad deal. It's a done deal. And she may never get out again if that happens. But she does it. I've never heard her once complain. Right? So when you're the backbone, and you got roped into doing something for 80 years straight, understand God gave you the ability to do that and be thankful for the ability to do it. Anyway, so I say, sure. On that day, our marriage was blessed. My in-laws' marriage was blessed. My son was baptized. My daughter was baptized. My wife was baptized and confirmed. Right? Father Todd was running around like a chicken with his head cut off. In the book, I call it like a spiritual, the sacramental extravaganza. You know?
Chapel overdose.
Yeah. That's pretty much. So here's the thing. Like I said, Jesus started like wrecking my life from the second he got in. And I had everything all set up the way I wanted it. And first thing he started doing was taking some of my time away every week, right? He wanted some of my time. And I noticed that when you work at a job 60, 80 hours a week, they want all your time, right? And the second you stop giving them that, someone wants your job. And they want to come in and try to work their way in there. Well, here comes the recession, 2008, banks are closing left and right. My strength was financing what I did. And as banks closed, I started to get in a little bit of trouble at work. For the first time in my life, I got fired. Never been fired before. I got a feeling Jesus wanted to get me fired. I know that sounds weird, but I went out for a couple of days of mushroom hunting and walking around. I prayed about it. I thought about it. I thought, man, I drive home several days a week. I drive home, and I call my wife. I said, please keep the kids up so I could see them. 6 days a week I work. I got no life. I don't want to do anything on Sunday when I finally get a chance to be at home. I got to think, Jesus got me fired, right? Maybe not. So I started a lawn service. That's not me. That's a better looking guy. I thought it'd be a better picture. But I started a lawn service. I decided, you know what, it'd be a great deal because I could work my own hours. If I'm going to run a business, I might as well run my own. Might as well do that. I like being outdoors. It's be okay, right? So everything's going good. I got lawn service up and going. My family's happy. I'm involved at church. I'm in this. I'm in that. I'm taking communion to shut-ins on Sundays. I lecture. I'm Mr. St. James. It was cool. Here's the thing. I had a secret. I had a secret the entire time. And here's the secret. I had been a moral relativist. I had studied the faith from a prove me wrong type of attitude. It was like geometry to me. You ever remember geometry proofs in high school? If this is true, then this so must be true. If A and B equals this and C equals that. That's how I worked out faith. You know, if the apostles all died for this guy, man, they had to have seen him. That's how I worked everything out. And then I was that proud Catholic. I didn't ever ask for nothing. Heck, look at all God has given me. Why would I have to ask Him for things? He's already blessed me with more than I need. Except for one day, I was cutting some firewood and I had a guy with me. He was a little shady, but hey, you know what? I was a little shady too. When we got pulled over, I pulled out of the gas station with my lights off. We got pulled over, and when the cop started talking to us, he was asking this guy, you know, well, where's your ID? You know, and he was going to just let me go. But he asked this guy, where's your ID? And the guy lied to him and lied about his name. Well, the police officer used to work with him. Oh no, right? It gets worse, okay? So after they arrest him, the guy says, hop out. So I hop out. He says, stand up against the truck. I stand up against the truck. He says, do you mind if I frisk you? I said, yes. Yes, I do. So they frisked me anyway. I don't know why they asked, right? But when he gets to right here, he finds my pot. I'd been a habitual pot smoker since high school. Every single day I smoked pot. I partied and did a whole bunch of drugs in college, but I was a habitual pot smoker at the time. And I had just picked up enough pot to last me a whole month. When you smoke pot all the time, that's a lot of pot. That's enough pot to put you in jail for 7 years, right? That was the lowest, worst point in my entire life that I can remember, you know, as an adult. All of a sudden it hit me. I'm a fraud. I am a fraud. And so then when you go to jail, I think they identify, some people are like, oh yeah, there's Fred, you know, let's put him in the holding tank. This guy doesn't belong. So they put me in my own cell by myself. And they put me in there, and if you've never been, anybody ever been to jail? Okay, I'm the only guy that admits it. Or maybe I'm the only guy that's been to jail. Anyway, if you've ever been to jail, So it's not like what you see, you know, the bars aren't really there, it's brick walls. There's no windows, you can't see anything. You don't want to know what it's like to go to jail? Go sit in your bathroom for 24 hours. Because that's what I basically did. I sat in this bathroom for 24 hours, and I took stock in the fact that I was a fraud. I hit the most pathetic, honest low I could possibly hit in my life. And for the first time in my life, I prayed for help, right? And it's sad to admit, you know what, I didn't ask God for forgiveness that much. I didn't ask Him for help really at all until I hit this low point. And when I did, man, hey, I didn't just ask Him. I hit up some saints, I hit up our Blessed Mother.
You did the litany.
I did them all, right? 3 times. I didn't know how to pray a rosary at that time, but I was sure faking it. I mean, no, seriously though, I asked God for His forgiveness, I asked Him for His help. And when I got done praying, I just stopped, and then all of a sudden the lights went out, and the lights came back on. Physically, literally. The lights went out, and the lights came back on. I'm sure somebody probably hit a switch, but I think it was time for a reason. Because I felt that was a sign immediately it was going to be okay. For the rest of my 24 hours, which felt like 3 days, I was plotting my comeback. I was plotting my comeback because I knew I would never do what I had done before. I realized that I was a drastic, chronic, lifelong underachiever. I've been given the gift of blah, 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 blah. I've been given the gift of being able to learn quickly. What it takes other people a long time to learn, hey, I pick it up quick. I'm not saying I like that gift or I like to use it, but something I got, right? So I came out that next day. My dad and my wife come pick me up. I come out of the jail, and my wife, this ain't her thing, let me tell you. I mean, I wasn't sure if my wife was coming to pick me up. And I come out, I apologize to her. I said, look, I got nothing to say other than, you know, I'm sorry, and it's going to be okay. It's going to get better. And so the next morning we go to Mass, the most heartbreaking Mass I've ever had in my life, right? There's Jesus. And I'm the fraud in front of him. And I can't receive communion. It's all coming down my shoulders. And I told Father Totten after Mass, I said, hey, you know, I work with youth. This is, in St. Joe, you all don't know about this here. In St. Joe, if you get a ticket, they put it in the paper. You know, I called my friends at the paper already, hey man, you got to block this. Right? But I knew the right thing to do the next day. I told Father on the way out of Mass, we got to talk. And he was always there for me. One time I missed Mass, I come to him real early in the morning, hey man, look, I hate to admit it, but I missed Mass last week, I went hunting. We got to get to the box so I can have communion. You know, and he's, okay, let's go. Always there for you. I'll bet you he'd take confession. You guys should call him at 3 o'clock in the morning next time. I'll bet you he'd show up. So we go over to the rectory. We go to the rectory at St. James. So we go over to the rectory. St. James, the rectory is attached to the parish, right? We go over to the rectory. It's the first time in my life I ever did face-to-face confession. We did 2, right? One was man-to-man, me telling him what was going on, because I knew, and he had told me, I'm actually required to try and literally forget what you tell me in the confessional. After I'm done praying for you, I'm actually required to try and forget that. Really? So I know that he can't act on what I tell him in the confessional, right? So first thing I tell him is man-to-man. Because let's face it, he's got to make some adjustments, right? He's got to get me out of certain ministries. He's got to make some adjustments because I've been a fraud. And then I made my confession. And let me tell you, crying in his living room was one of the best confessions, one of the best absolutions I ever received in my life. Because just like when that light went off and came back on, that absolution, you know, I knew everybody was going to be upset. I knew I had a lot of people to go talk to, you know, and just come clean. But I knew it was going to be all right. Because if God forgave me, hey, anybody else, hey, God forgave me. I'm all kind of, I hope you forgive me, but hey, God did. So, I started my comeback. It's the middle of winter. This is my parents' farm. I own a lawn service. You know what you do with you have a lawn service in the middle of winter? Nothing. Snow. I didn't have the equipment to do snow, so you know what I did? I sold firewood. Sell firewood, here's what you do. The coldest winter possible, you put an ad in the paper, everyone calls you. Right? I didn't have a log splitter, I had these. Right? Eventually I bought a log splitter pretty quick, but I sat up there day in and day out. I can remember I rented a log splitter one weekend, and if you rented it Saturday afternoon, you didn't have to return it until Monday morning, right? And so I would cut down these trees all week long, line them, get everything, all these logs ready to go, and then I would split wood for 2 days straight, in the middle of the night, snow beating down on me. Nobody wanted to talk to me. People were fairly upset with me. Some people didn't want to talk about it. I'm going through some changes, right? Let me tell you something. 10 years of smoking pot every day, when you quit, you have some energy. A lot of it. And I used it. And Don Bosco, I don't know if anybody knows about St. John Bosco. Me and Don Bosco are tight, right? Because Don Bosco only slept 6 hours a night. He skipped one night a week. He was the workingest man I've ever read about, right? And I respected that, and I read up on him. And when we got tight, I prayed to him. I used him as a kind of a blueprint for my comeback, right? I wanted to, 2 weeks into being clean and sober and very focused on my faith, I wanted to start working with youth again. Father's like, brother, you need to hold up. let's let that simmer for a while, Anyway, I started my comeback. I'm praying to Don Bosco. I re-engaged with my family. I started to become, through that man's youth, through our men's group, I started to become the father that I was supposed to be. My wife described me as much more attentive, right? Well, when you think you're going to lose something, you start valuing it a little bit different, don't you? Well, this whole time, I still thought I could lose something. I still thought I could go to jail. Just kind of hoped God would take care of me. And He did. And once He was done taking care of me, actually, I got to tell you real quick, I'm sitting outside the courtroom on the day they were going to sentence me, and I was pretty sure I was just going to get probation. That's what they kind of talked about it. Your lawyers and the prosecutors, and they tell the judge, say, this is what we want to do, and the judge goes, okay. Hey, by the way, you understand that I don't have to abide by this, right? So on your sentencing day, I could do that, or I could do this. And I sat outside that courtroom on my sentencing day, and I thought, you know what? I've been in here like 3 or 4 or 5 times. I see all these people that quite obviously don't have the gifts and the life that I do. And I really hope, God, that you'll look after them, because I know you look after me. And I prayed for the people around me. I don't know why. I don't think it was, uppityness or whatever, but I just felt moved to do that. And I go into that thing, and the prosecutor hops up out of nowhere, and he runs over to my lawyer out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. He's like flipping through stuff. And he goes over to my lawyer, and they go, and he comes back, and she goes, he wants to drop it to a misdemeanor, and you just have probation for, like 12 months. What? Are you kidding me? Thank you. She says, don't thank me. He read your file and everything that you said when they interviewed you for your assessment report. Wow. I got to feel like God is giving me more chances. More and more chances. And I told Father, what I'm going to do from here on out is every time God asks me for something, I'm going to say, okay. So guess what? You want to join the Knights? Hey, you want to MC our men's group? You want to run a youth group? You want to do this? Want to do that? Next thing you know, I'm doing like everything. And I'm loving it. And God's really working through me. And I'm feeling it. I'm growing in my faith like I'd never grown before. And I thought, I got to share this. I got to share this, if anything, so my family will know about it. And now, I'm not a writer, but I did learn that if you go to YouTube, you can learn how to do anything, right? So I learned how to self-publish a book for electronics, for print, anything like that. I wrote a book about it. And this book is kind of a 3-part deal. It's my story in the first part, and the second part, it's a lot of the stuff that I struggled with becoming Catholic. Some of the things, the deals I had to overcome in understanding. And the third part is an examination of conscience. Mine, not yours, not for everybody else, but hey, maybe you might see something in my examination that applies. But it's in a big part an expanded version of the 10 Commandments. And we all know that there's a little more to the 10 Commandments than meets the eye, right? So, about a year after I get done with that book, which I'm not a writer, so my writing needed a little cleaning up, like a little work with the grammar and some of that stuff. About a year after that, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna kick this evangelization thing up a notch, right? I'm gonna have that guy over there, John Keys. I'm gonna have him. He's got a double English major. Edit my book. I talked to Doc about this. I got a plan in my head. That's the vision right there. I'm going to start a Christian clothing line, and it's going to be some in-your-face stuff. Now, some of my stuff's soft. You guys seen I brought my soft stuff. But some of my stuff is in your face. And I got this vision in my head with this Christian clothing line. Now, you know what? Maybe if adults are scared to do it, maybe kids will do it. Maybe I could make it cool to be Catholic. You know what? It worked. Now, I asked you guys about the Royals parade, right? Or about the Royals. You guys all got Royals shirts. Not everybody got a Jesus shirt, right?
Right.
When I went to that parade, me and 900,000 of my closest friends, we partied together that day. I felt unity like no other. I'd never felt that before. And you know what? There were like 3 arrests the whole day.
I know, isn't it great?
Just point out for the camera, the Denver Broncos fans rioted. They're bored. But Royals fans, we get together. We're peaceful. We're good people. I felt that unity. I feel that unity when I walk into any Catholic church. But the problem is we walk out of the church and we look like everybody else. We talk like everybody else. You know, Father, when he dismisses us, what do you say, Father? Go forth. The Mass is ended. We're supposed to go out, share the gospel. We're supposed to do our job. But we go out and we wear the uniform of everybody else. I think we ought to wear the uniform of Jesus. As a matter of fact, if you do the math, I'm a math guy, right? I was a numbers guy in the car business. If you do the math, I wear a Christian shirt every single day. The first day I wore a Christian shirt, I'm walking through Walmart. I walked by some people. The shirt said, "God is not dead." Somebody walked past me from 30 yards away. They turned around and they said, "Nice shirt, man." That's never happened to me in my life. First day. A little while later, I'm over in Walmart and somebody walks past me. And the lady and her daughter said, "I really like your shirt." Twice in one day. I left Walmart, unforgetful. Crap, I got to stop at a different grocery store. So I stopped at Apple Mart. It's another store in my town. And I run in real quick to get something, and now I start realizing people are looking at me different. I'm not saying nothing. They're looking at me different. This one guy and I, we lock eyes. And I'm like, ooh, I've either ticked him off or something. I'm on his radar. Get out in the parking lot. About 80 feet away, he's getting in his car. Right on, man! You're kidding me. I've never in my life been stopped positively for my appearance once. It's just not. I hope to be average someday, right? 3 times. That was a sign to me, right? The first show that I worked with my clothing was a craft show. I talked to this lady from a church across town. I didn't sell very many at my own church. But a lady from a non-Catholic church across town, she bought a shirt from me. It says, "It's Christmas for a reason." Christmas for a reason. And she bought that from me, and she called me that night. She goes, "Hey, all the girls that I wrap presents with out at the mall for our fundraiser, they want them too." Rock on. Well, in St. Joseph, our newspaper goes out to about 23,000 households on, Sundays and Christmas days. And on Christmas morning, front page in the newspaper, there's this little lady in this big picture, and she's got this shirt on that says, "It's called Christmas for a reason." And you know what? There's these little times throughout my life where I go, am I doing the right thing? And God goes,
Yes.
that was one of them. I believe you're all walking billboards. I'm going to do the math for you. When I go to Walmart, 100 people see me at minimum. A minimum of 100 people see me. If I do that every single day of the year, which I shop for my family every single day for dinner, I stop at Walmart, I grab, some whatever I'm cooking. That's how I work. Whatever's on sale, right? At least 100 people see me. That's 36,500 people a year see me and my Christian message. Some of them are Christians that hadn't thought about God yet today. Some people are having a bad day and they're walking along, they're smug and they're rude, and they see Jesus on my shirt and they think, man, I'm not having that bad a day. Some people see the Jesus freak with a smile on his face and they go, well, maybe they're not all bad. Of course, I'm sure some people go, that guy's a Jesus freak. Whatever. I'm raising one. I'm raising me a Jesus freak. Matter of fact, I got 2 of them. This young man is 10 times the man I'll ever be. That's my son. And I don't force him to wear anything. As a matter of fact, when I got done with that design the other day, my son said, "Did you make me one?" And I said, no, and I thought to myself, you idiot. You have an 11-year-old that wants to rep Christ at a public school.
Absolutely.
And so he did, and he comes back from school that day. This is him on patrol, by the way, wearing that same hoodie, right? He comes back from school the day that he wore that shirt because I sent him in that shirt thinking, you know what, if they send him home saying that that's gory or offensive or anything like that, me and Fox News are fitting to show up, right? I'm loving this opportunity, but they wouldn't. My kid's school's a good school, nice people, plenty of Christian people there. But he comes home, he says, my teacher wants one. Can you do the letters in pink? Yes.
Yes.
So I take it to his teacher. She says, you know, I actually got in trouble one time for saying hallelujah. I said, are you kidding me? She goes, yeah, I wasn't preaching to the kids. They just, it took them a long time to get an answer right. And I said, hallelujah. I said, you got in trouble? Yeah, well, the parents called. You know, I got talked to. That's so sad. 2 days later, we go to conferences, and another teacher comes over and says, hey, I just want you to know, I thought it was really awesome your son had the guts to wear that shirt. I said, don't tell him. He doesn't know it takes guts. He just thinks that's how it is.
Yeah.
She goes, well, I thought, after seeing him, I thought I ought to have him. My son is one of the greatest evangelizers there is. He doesn't know any better. But I try to sell these shirts to grown-ups all the time, and I'm not going to lie to you, a lot of them are scared.
That's an awesome shirt, by the
That
way.
is.
Yeah, I want one of those.
IamShambles.com. Actually, and if we come back for another thing, I'll bring a whole bunch of shirts. I'm going to play a little video for you because here's the whole theme of my life as a Christian. And especially now more than ever. I listen to this song every day. And I know it sounds silly, but you know, they make fun of us for making our same prayers all the time, right? Well, guess what? I listen to this song every single day because it's almost like a prayer to me. It's kind of my anthem when I wake up in the morning. But the song is called Proof of Your Love. If you like symbolism in you know, movies or paintings or anything like that, maybe you'll detect a little symbolism in this video. But I'm going to end with this. You know, this is a song called Proof of Your Love.
Now it works.
Yeah.
Didn't work for mine.
My stuff's better than his. I hope I didn't turn up the bass. I did.
Oh, go ahead.
These guys come to Kansas City regularly down there.
If I sing but don't have love, I waste my breath with every song I bring. An empty voice, a hollow noise. If I speak with a silver tongue, convince a crowd but don't have love, I leave a bitter taste with every word I say. So let my life be the proof of your love. Let my love look like you and what you're made of. How you lived, how you died, love is sacrifice. So let my life be the proof of your love.
speak God's word with power, revealing all of his mysteries and making everything as plain as day. And if I have faith to say to a mountain, jump, and it jumps, but I don't love, I'm nothing. If I give all I own to the poor, or even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't love, I've gotten nowhere. So, no matter what I say, no matter what I believe, no matter what I do, I'm bankrupt without love.
Let my life be the